Good morning. This is call number 2020-32639 in the interest of Cassidy Viltz. All parties, please raise your right hand to be sworn. You solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
All right, ma'am. Please state your name and your relationship to the child.
Natasha Wilson, and I'm her mother.
All right. Representing the Attorney General, State of Texas.
Andrea Eoff.
Would note that the non-custodial parent is Christopher Viltz. Mr. Viltz was personally served on August 2nd, 2022 at 6:57 p.m. at 4113 Vinedale Avenue in Cincinnati, Hamilton County, Ohio. He's not filed an answer or made an appearance. Is that correct, Ms. Eoff?
Yes, Your Honor, that's correct.
We'll proceed by default.
Thank you, Your Honor. Your Honor, I'd like to call Natasha Wilson.
All right.
Ms. Wilson, will you please state your full name for the record?
Natasha Wilson.
And will you state the name and age of your child?
Cassidy Viltz, age 7.
And Christopher Viltz is Cassidy's father, is that correct?
Yes.
And he signed an acknowledgement of paternity here in the state of Texas when she was born, is that right?
Yes.
And you and Mr. Viltz for a period of time lived together with Cassidy here in Texas, is that right?
Yes.
And you and Mr. Viltz separated approximately June of 2018, and you haven't gotten back together, is that right?
Yes.
All right. And in the time period that you've separated, is it true that Mr. Viltz has just kind of hopped around from state to state?
Yes.
And has he been involved as a co-parent with
No.
Cassidy? No. Do you believe that it would be in Cassidy's best interest if you were appointed as her sole managing conservator and that you would have the right to designate where she lives without any sort of geographic restriction?
Yes.
And do you believe that that's because Mr. Viltz kind of hops around from state to state and hasn't shown an interest in being involved?
Yes.
And do you believe that Mr. Viltz should be allowed to have some visitation with Cassidy?
Yes.
And are you comfortable with him having the standard possession order in the event he decided to exercise some visitation?
Yes.
All right. And we know that Mr. Viltz has not maintained stable employment over the last couple of years. Is that right?
Yes.
And that he's potentially facing some criminal charges. Is that correct?
Correct.
And are you asking the court today to order him to pay child support based on the idea that he could have a minimum wage job right now if he wanted to?
Yes.
And are you asking the court to order him to pay child support in the amount of $217 beginning November 1st, 2022?
Yes.
And are you asking the court to order you to provide Medicaid or another government healthcare program for Cassidy?
Yes.
Are you asking the court to order him to pay medical support in the amount of $57 a month beginning November 1st, 2022?
Yes.
And in the time that you have been taking care of Cassidy since you guys separated, he has only contributed about $300 to her care, right? When he bought her clothes and shoes?
That's correct.
So giving him credit for that expenditure, are you asking the court to order him to pay retroactive child support in the amount of $11,837 for the period between June 1st, 2018 and today, to be paid at $110 a month beginning November 1st?
Yes.
All right. And you have another child with a different man, is that right?
Correct.
And you have had problems with that man being abusive and harassing you. Is that right?
Correct.
Are you asking the court to make a finding of non-disclosure regarding your address and phone number so that you won't be exposed to harassment from that other man?
Yes.
But you're comfortable with Mr. Viltz having that information. Is that right?
Correct.
All right. If the court were to enter an order today that established Mr. Viltz as Cassidy's father and contained the terms that we just talked about, do you think that would be in her best interest?
Can you repeat that? I'm sorry.
if the court were to enter an order that had the terms that we just talked about, do you think that would be in Cassidy's best interest?
Yes.
Okay, I have no further questions and pass this witness, Your Honor.
All right, the court will approve